Rain was pouring like the heavens had decided to wash the city clean. I was standing outside the small bus terminal, waiting for my ride to Lahore, when I saw her. At first, I thought it was some kind of film shoot, because who else runs through the streets in a full wedding dress at midnight? But this wasn't a movie. She was soaked to the bone, her mascara smudged, clutching the hem of her gown so it wouldn't drag too much in the puddles. And she was barefoot. She kept looking over her shoulder like someone was chasing her. I didn't know why, but when our eyes met, my stomach did this weird flip. She stopped right in front of me, panting, her lips trembling. "Please," she said between breaths, "hide me." I froze. "Hide you? From who?" Before she could answer, headlights swept across the road. A black SUV screeched to a stop, doors flying open. 3 men in dark suits stepped out, scanning the area like hunters. She didn't wait. She ducked under my jacket so fast, I barely had time to react. "Act normal," she whispered from under the fabric, her hands clutching my shirt. My brain screamed what the hell is happening, but my mouth said, "Evening, gentlemen," as they approached. "Have you seen a young woman in a white dress?" one asked, eyes cold and suspicious. I shrugged. "Only brides of seen tonight or in magazines." They exchanged glances, muttered something, and ran toward the other side of the terminal. When they were gone, I exhaled for what felt like the first time in a century. She slowly pulled the jacket off her head. Her hair was messy but beautiful, her eyes wild yet strangely relieved. "Thanks," she said, "you just saved my life." I didn't know it then, but that was the night my ordinary life ended, and hers began. We found shelter in a tiny tea stall down the street. The owner gave us suspicious glances, probably wondering why a drenched bride and a random guy were sharing chai at midnight, but said nothing. I finally asked the obvious. "Who are you running from?" She hesitated, wrapping my jacket tighter around herself. "I was supposed to marry him tonight. The man my parents chose for me. Rich, powerful, and a complete monster." Her voice cracked. I tried to tell them, but no one listened. "He's not just controlling, he's dangerous." So I ran. I stared at her. "And those guys back there? His men. If they catch me, they'll take me straight back to him." Something in her tone made me believe every word. The rain outside softened to a drizzle, but inside my head, things were getting louder. I'd never been the type to get involved in strangers' drama. But the way she kept glancing toward the door, the way her hands shook, how could I just walk away? "All right," I said, "where do you want to go?" She blinked, surprised. "You'd help me, just like that." "Look," I said, "I've seen enough TV dramas to know you're either a victim or a con artist. I'll take the risk you're the first one." A small smile tugged at her lips for the first time. "There's a bus to Islamabad in 20 minutes. If I can make it there, I'll be safe." We left the tea stall, keeping to the shadows. My jacket barely covered her dress, but in the dim light, she could pass as someone wearing an oversized coat. We were almost at the terminal when I spotted the black SUV again. They were searching each bus. She gripped my arm, panic rising. "What do we do?" I thought fast. "We don't use the front gate. Come on." I led her down a narrow alley behind the terminal. My shoes splashed through muddy puddles, her gown caught on a rusty nail, tearing slightly, but we kept moving. I could hear voices getting closer. Then, without warning, she tripped. I caught her before she hit the ground, my heart racing. "You okay?" I whispered. She nodded, breathless. I'm not used to running in heels." That's when I realized, she was still wearing them. I pulled them off and stuffed them in my bag. "Now you are." She smiled again, and something about that smile made me forget how cold the night was. We reached the back of the terminal, where an old, dented minibus was warming up. The driver looked like he'd seen enough shady business in his life to not ask questions. I handed him a crumpled note and told him we needed 2 seats. Just as we were climbing in, the SUV's headlights swept over the alley. The men shouted, "They've seen us," she gasped. The driver, bless his soul, floored it before I even closed the door. The minibus lurched forward, throwing us against the seat. Through the dirty window, I saw the men running, but we were already merging into the chaotic night traffic. She leaned her head against the glass, tears mixing with rain on her cheeks. "I can't believe it, I'm really getting away." I didn't know what to say, so I just offered her the rest of my jacket. After an hour, the city lights faded into dark countryside. She finally spoke again, softer this time. "My name's Zara." I smiled. "I'm Adil." Guess we skipped the introductions in all the running. She laughed, a real laugh this time. I owe you more than I can repay. You don't owe me anything, I said. Just promise me you won't go running into trouble again. She tilted her head. What if trouble finds me anyway? I thought about that. Then I guess I'll just have to be around to hide you again. The bus rumbled on into the night, two strangers sitting side by side, bound by a storm, a jacket, and a choice that neither of us could ever take back. I didn't know if Zara would stay in my life forever or vanish at the next stop. But one thing was certain, this wasn't the end. It was just the beginning.